let's talk a little tennis here on Game Points. Our next guest has been covering the Rogers Cup all week. You can see her work on tennisconnected.com. You can also follow her on twitter.com/Lyra Pappin, Pappin. She'll be on CTV Canada AM in the morning talking tennis as well. It's Lyra Pappin. Hey, Lyra, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really sorry I couldn't be there.
That's all right. But more importantly, Lyra, were you able to see the mixed doubles matches?
They don't have mixed doubles matches here.
Oh, man.
That's a disaster. With the women stuck in Toronto and the men just,
That's
going
right,
crazy here. Yeah.
It's only the Grand Slams where they have those ones, I guess, or some of the other, do they have those at some of the other ATP circuits?
Actually, that's a good question because they could potentially at.
Well, those mixed doubles have to practice
Indian
somewhere
Wells.
together, right?
They totally do. You're right.
All right, so let's talk about the week that was for the Rogers Cup. Of course, very eventful, very headline-grabbing here in Montreal and across the country for obvious reasons in that semifinal with the two Canadians. What are some of the highlights that stood out for you in covering the tournament this week?
It's just been an incredible tournament, really from start to finish. Just what a week for Canada and tennis. Nobody ever saw this coming. Vasek Pospisil just played out of his mind all week. I think a match that will remain in my personal top 5 of just seeing live is that match that he played against Berdych. To be able to take out the world number 6 is no easy feat, especially after just upsetting John Isner. Typically, when you see a player have a breakthrough moment like that, they don't actually back it up with something that's even more spectacular. So I think he just played really outstanding, and you could tell he was really loving the crowd support, and that really, really made a difference for him. So the whole moment was just so special, and the atmosphere here was really incredible.
All right, Lyra, elsewhere in that tournament, early on in the tournament, did you see Milos Raonic getting to the final? I mean, to me, it's amazing. People are happy, proud in doing what he's doing, but there's also a camp of pessimists that say, you know what, this is pretty much him peaking. We didn't see anything tremendous from him. He can't really break serve all that much. He's not, he's kind of gangly out there with the long arms and legs. I mean, he's now in the top 10, but moving forward, is this something you're going to see from him on a semi-consistent basis? What do you think?
It is really interesting, actually. I think your assessment's pretty fair in that he did not play his best tennis this week in Montreal, so it's pretty incredible that he did make it to a final, that he is in the top 10. But basically, that's just how tennis works. That's how the ranking system works and the seeding system. So he is pretty lucky that he's actually gotten to the top 10 not playing his best. Now, you could say, if you want to look at the pessimist view and say, maybe he doesn't deserve to be there, or, those typical criticisms of his game that he relies on his serve. But at the same time, if he's been able to make the top 10 playing this way, really, you do see from him and hear from him a belief in himself and a commitment to work and continue to get better. So if this is kind of the benchmark that he set right now as number 10, really you could have a lot more to look forward to if he does continue to make improvements, if he does take these occasions as true learning experiences. He spoke after the match today about how that moment when he came out to center court today and had that minute-long standing ovation was one of the most special moments, or the most special moment of his career so far. He said it even gave him goosebumps. So moments like that, you can see that it really does mean something to him, and he's a thoughtful guy. He's going to take from this what he can, and then just continue to improve.
Lyra Pappin joining us from tennisconnected.com. Some great coverage over there this week coming out of her, so check that out. We're talking some tennis here. What about Pospisil, a guy who got to the semis, very close, obviously, to beating Raonic and getting to the final? Such a, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Not erratic, but a volatile game, perhaps, inconsistent. How would you describe what he's been able to do now getting into the top 40, and what's his ceiling?
His goal for this year was to make the top 50, so he's kind of blown that out of the water by hitting top 40 already. And you can also see how much that means to him. He's definitely a crowd favorite. He plays with a lot of energy. He was coming off that challenger win in Vancouver, flew here overnight with no sleep, and was still able to put together an incredible run. I think, he's someone who, he actually was ranked higher as a junior than Raonic, so he's actually someone who's, I guess, underperformed a little bit on the tour, but he certainly does have all the tools in a very complete game. I'd say he has a more complete game than Raonic, just he has more uneven results. The key to this tour and to, getting ranking points and to staying there is consistency, and that's been his problem. He also seems to perform particularly well here. He does thrive on the crowd energy, so it'll be interesting to see. He's never had this big a jump. He moved 30 spots in the rankings just this week, so it'll be a new experience for him, and hopefully that will add some motivation to him, maybe that was a little missing before. Maybe just the memory of having all this support will do something to kind of keep pushing him and keep excelling and, make new targets for himself and for his career.
I was reading your piece on TennisConnected.com where you alluded to Andy Murray playing well. Explain that, obviously, with the lack of getting to the quarters.
Yeah, Murray, I think because in the past he had that problem where he was doing really well in tour events, not doing well in slams, I think he's become sort of like almost a business manager of his own career. He's well aware that he took time off. He mentions it every time you talk to him. This is his first tournament back since winning Wimbledon, where he took 2 weeks off. He didn't even leave his house for 2 days during that time. So he knows that he can ramp up right now. So I think he looked very solid in his wins. And that day he played Gulbis, there's some of the conditions were bothering him. He didn't like the ball in this tournament as well. So I think he just decided, he's a tough competitor for sure, but, it didn't go his way. I don't think it's going to get him down the way it may have in the past because he's got so much confidence now from winning Wimbledon, coming into the U.S. Open as a defending champion. That's where his sights are set. So I think he's just looking forward, looking ahead, and he looked great. I mean, he was in the doubles final today with Colin Fleming. They did lose, but, he's very competitive, happy to have the court time, and seems very confident in this hard court season. I'm
sorry, I didn't hear anything after you said he didn't like the ball in this tournament. What the hell does that mean? Was it too fluffy? Was the color not good enough? This ball displeases me. I will not play in this tournament. What does that mean?
Matthew, I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I did write a piece for it. It's in the Toronto Star. Nadal didn't like it either. Djokovic actually commented as well, and Jerzy Janowicz. There's controversy here with that because the Masters 1000 Series tournament events, which Rogers Cup is one of, they use pen balls in these tournaments, whereas the U.S. Open uses Wilson balls. Yes. So there actually is a difference, I guess, in the quality, and the players said especially for some reason, this year in particular, the quality seems bad. Nadal said that as the games go on, the ball loses its shape, that the seams aren't even.
Are they hitting pairs by the end? I mean,
that's it's like the thing is the top guys, they're playing such small percentages. They're the ones who are actually able to clip the lines, and that's what they go for. So any tiny difference for them really throws them off and irks them. And also Nadal mentioned that when you have to make those adjustments, it can actually potentially cause injuries to your shoulder or things like that. So they're not thrilled about it. I guess, it'll be the same ball in Cincinnati, which is the next tournament, so they will have time to get used to it for that. But it is kind of a strange thing that they change it and then they are expected to go back and use a different ball for the last Grand Slam season.
It used to be when I was a kid, when the four Grand Slams, you'd have, the Wilson was always U.S. Open. You had Slazenger, which was always Wimbledon. And then I believe Dunlop was always the Aussie Open, and Penn was the French Open. Is it still that way?
I don't know for the other slam. I know that the ball that's used in the U.S. Open was changed recently, but it's been Wilson for the past while, and it's used on something like over 50 of the tour events. So it may include the rest of the slams right now. I think that Slazenger is used on something still, but we'll have to fact check that one for you, Matt. Get your insurance on it.
You better. I mean, that's a very key, detail here that you can't overlook, Lyra. But congratulations on the great coverage this week. We've been following it. It's been fantastic, and certainly have some fun tomorrow morning. Early, if you have a chance, you're out there, you have the TV on as you're getting ready for work in the 6 a.m. hour. Tune into Canada AM. Thanks so much, Lyra.
Thanks so much, Matt. Have a great day, guys.